Hello and welcome to Good or Bad, Renfield, recently released in cinemas and directed by Chris McKay, starring Nicolas Cage as Count Dracula in a bloody action comedy? Oh, I very much enjoyed this. So, before I go on any further, I won't give any spoilers other than stuff that's appeared in trailers. But the premise of the movie is that Nicholas Hoult plays a guy called Renfield, who's been Dracula's servant for many, many years. Which means doing his bidding, finding people for him to feed on, or dry cleaning his cape. Also, he can eat bugs to consume their life force, and this gives him superhuman strength. Yeah, bit weird, innit? But I wouldn't question it. But if I was going to question it, the question I'd be asking is, towards the end of the movie, other people eat bugs as well, and they gain super strength. So, does Dracula have to unlock this ability in a human? Or will anyone get super strength if they eat bugs? Maybe this is just a world where not one single child in the entirety of human history has ever thought to eat an ant or some sort of bug. You know, I did always wonder why I was able to lift a car after I ate a beetle when I was 6, but I never connected the dots until now. But anyway, Renfield starts to realise he wants a bit more out of life than this. So he starts doing things that ultimately put him on a collision course with his master. It's a fun-filled ride full of stabbings, shootings, decapitations, and other delightfully gruesome fates. I think the main reason this movie works so well is because it knows it's bonkers. I mean, Nicolas Cage is Count Dracula. Come on! And you can tell he has a lot of fun with this role.
Some call me the Dark One, others the Lord of Death.
Awkwafina also stars in this, as a badass honest cop, trying to bring down a crime family. As for the people leading the crime family, one of them was just plain goofy, but his mother, played by Sheree Ogdoshlu, who I really like in a lot of things I've seen her in, and this is no exception. And unlike her on-screen son, she is not goofy. She is portrayed as intelligent, cunning, and ruthless. I only wish she had more screen time. Her character gets built up to be part of this final battle, but just sort of fizzles out. Now that being said, she certainly gets closure in the movie. They don't forget about her or anything. I just wish they gave her more to do towards the end. Now I do like how the story pulls all of these different characters together for that final battle at the end, with Renfield, Rebecca and the crime family all caught up in Dracula's orbit of destruction. It was just a nicely told, goofy story with a good cast. The other standout area to me are the effects and the makeup artists that bring Dracula to life. There's a moment in the film where Dracula gets horrifically injured and he goes through stages of regeneration. So each time we see him after that, he looks a bit less like a corpse. And in those scenes, he looks great. The artists did a really good job with that. And they went with a very traditional Count Dracula look once he was back at full power. In fact, in the intro to the movie, we see him meet Renfield for the first time, in a very classic Transylvania setting. It's all black and white, very Hammer House of Horrors, which I love.
I am Dracula. Renfield, you will make a very good assistant.
I also like that they were very subtle with the vampire lore. The movie doesn't tell us much about vampire lore because it presumes we know the basics already. We all know that vampires burn in the sunlight and they don't like crosses, so we don't need to be told this. Which is nice because a lot of films will outright read off a checklist, but I like that this movie didn't feel the need to do that. In fact, it doesn't mention much about lore, only passively in conversation, or by showing us it in a scene that feels relevant to the moment. But there is this moment I really like when Renfield gets his own apartment after he realises he wants more from life than being Dracula's slave. So when Renfield gets home, he finds jolly old Dracula sat there waiting for him. Then he turns around and looks at the doormat that he absent-mindedly placed there, which politely said, "Welcome, come on in." Which means Renfield invited Dracula in without meaning to. It's a small moment, but I thought it was a funny joke and referenced the part of vampire law that states they cannot enter unless invited. So you may have noticed I have been giving this movie a lot of praise. And I think the fact that the only thing I don't like about this movie is that the crime boss lady didn't get enough screen time says a lot. Because while I would have liked her to get more screen time, I wouldn't say it breaks the movie or anything. What they do with her character certainly still works. So I am really happy to say that I am hard pressed to find anything that really drags the movie down. Which is because this movie is exactly what you expect it to be. If you watch the trailer, you know what you're in for. Renfield promises a comedic, bloody, action, vampire-filled adventure. And it delivers that. By no means is this the best vampire film of all time, but it's certainly the best one I've seen in a good while. This could be because I've not seen that many vampire films recently. The closest one that comes to mind would be Morbius. And the thing about Morbius is it was just shit. So overall, Renfield is a lot of fun. Good action, good comedy, and a nice little story. It's not going to redefine the standards of cinema or anything, but there are far worse ways to spend 93 minutes. You have been watching Good or Bad, and this one was good. See you next time.